Good afternoon. Today is November 23rd. It is about 5 minutes to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. This is the Streets and Sidewalks Committee, and to my right is Councilwoman Lynn Snee, and to my left is Councilman Jeff Schilling, and I'm Bob Phillips, the chair. We are here to hear some staff reports on 2 or 3 items. First one's going to be a vacation of an alley on between South Plum and South Cherry Streets and South Franklin Street. And Mr. Titterington, are you going to lead this, or is Mr.
Sure.
Rhodes?
It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. This is an alley that is adjacent to the First Methodist Church on Cherry Street. It was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission. There are no issues as far as that goes. It's a pretty straightforward request.
Got it. I don't have any questions on this item. Either of you two, Mr. Schilling.
Yes. As a longtime member of the First United Methodist Church and as a member of the Trustees Committee of the First United Methodist Church and a member of the Trustees Committee that participated in the application process which resulted in the demolition of the South Cherry Street property, which then enabled the First United Methodist Church Trustee Committee to ask for the vacation of a part of the alley located directly to the west of the demolished building, which is what we're discussing now. And that the vacation of the alley will directly benefit all members of the First United Methodist Church. I'm recusing myself from participating, discussing, and voting on this recommendation.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I clarify with Mr. Schilling that his recusal is solely based on the fact that he's a member of the Board of Trustees?
No, that is not true.
It's been my understanding in the past that you needed to recuse yourself from any business that had to do with First Methodist if you were a member there, only if you participated on the Board of Trustees.
I am saying that all members of the church will benefit from this vacation of the alley, and therefore that is one of the reasons that I'm recusing myself.
Well, not to belabor the point, but while all members of the church may benefit, not all members of the church were involved in the decision or application process that you mentioned. So I'm not sure that it's in agreement. I'm not sure I'm in agreement that all members of the church need to recuse themselves from voting only because they hold membership at the church.
Yeah, I think so. Mr. Grant, would you?
Mr. Kerber, can you?
Or, excuse me, Mr. Kerber. Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant Kerber. Could you clarify this issue?
I cannot. As individual members of council, you're in charge of your own ethical decision-making, and I represent the city as a whole, and your colleagues may differ with the conclusion that you personally reach on how you undertake your votes.
Referring back to your education or class, if you will, on the sunshine laws and that sort of thing, really there are only 3, if I remember correctly, 3 areas that you need to recuse yourself. If you have a financial interest, oh God, and my memory's failing me on the other 2, but I don't think, to Mrs. Snee's point, that this being simply a member of the church would fall into those other 3 classifications.
I can't offer any recollections or direction in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Then I would only add for my own statement that I have asked before for legal counsel on whether or not I should recuse myself from any items that involve First Methodist, and the advice I was given was that if I was not a member of the Board of Trustees, which was the decision-making body in this instance, then no, I did not need to recuse myself solely as a member of the church.
I would concur with that assessment. And in full disclosure, I am also a member there, but not a member on any committees or hold any financial interest or care in this matter. So that I believe Mr. Schilling is correct as far as the trustee issue is your point, not just as a member as the whole. But you vote your own conscience. So anyway, any other
Yeah,
comments?
just one clarification. As part of what we are asking for a vacation of the alley. We're also asking for the vacation of an access easement that goes along with that.
Right,
And that will all be in the legislation.
gotcha. Any other questions from any other members of council or the audience at large? Okay. What is your pleasure with this?
To move forward.
Move forward. And Mr. Schilling, you are
I will
standing
recuse
aside?
myself.
Gotcha. All right, is the majority position of the committee that we are recommending to move forward with this item? Item number 2, I may scroll down here. We need to amend a professional services agreement with Strand and Associates for additional services for duct bank design and utility coordination for the West Main Street Corridor Improvements Project. Okay, Mr. Titterington.
So briefly, we had awarded the contract to Strand Associates to do the design work for West Main Street. After we had awarded that, sometime later is when we started some discussions and then came to council at work session and got the authority to try to bury utility lines and relocate utility lines. So that was not part of Strand's original contract. So we are asking that that be amended in an amount not to exceed $125,000 to account for the additional work that they have to do related to that project. I believe that will be taken care of in the capital improvement fund.
Got it. I don't have any questions on this item, Mr. Schilling.
How many hours does Strand and Associates feel that they need to redo the design to add this object to the plan?
I don't know that we've got those exact hours in front of us.
I mean, did they give you an estimate of how many hours it would take?
I believe they do, but they break it down because they have different professional services at different rates. And so it could vary. They give us an estimate, but it may take more time for an electrical engineer and less time for a civil engineer or a tech or a draftsman. They've got a whole rate schedule. And so it's really not always practical to have it broken down to that level, knowing that it's an estimate, and that's why this is a not to exceed amount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I just...
There's some simple projects where we could do that, but related to this project, since it's duct bank, since there's, it's our main road, it's an old road, we've got to figure out what's underneath. They may need to do some adjustments.
Didn't they do some of that for the $2 million we gave them to start the thing?
They did, but
So
they were not concentrating on the electrical and the wiring utility, the overhead utility, and so that brings an entirely new element to the project.
Okay, just checking on this thing. That's a lot of money. For something we've already paid somebody $2 million for, you'd think it would...
Well, the actual estimate for the duct bank and the moving of the utilities is in the range of $1.5 million, maybe even more than that when you put those two things together. So as a percentage, that's well within what normal percentages are.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Sneed.
We are asking for emergency on this as well.
Yes. Any other questions from council members in the audience? Other members of the audience, questions? Seeing none, how is it, shall we move forward on this item?
With emergency.
Okay. It's unanimous with the committee that we move forward. Staff is recommending with emergency. And our last item is bidding authorization for State 41 Interconnect Phase 2 project. And again, Mr. Titterington.
Sure. This is an ODOT project. We are being granted 80% of the cost of the project. This is the second phase of this interconnect project that covers from Dorset on the east side and to the west of, or at Maryville. We've gotten all the design work done, gotten the appraisals and property right-of-way that we need, and now it's time for us to go out to bid. Project is budgeted in the 2021 budget.
Okay. I have no questions on this item. Mr. Shillington.
Okay, thank you. In conjunction with, is this where have we requested or looking at the process to reduce the speed limit on West Main Street to 35 miles an hour?
No, that's west of that area. I guess in the Maryville area it was, but we did have our traffic engineer do the analysis, and it is not warranted to change the speed limit.
Okay.
So that analysis has been completed. That's not related to this project, though. This is.
So there's no chance of getting from Dorset to Maryville 35 mile an hour?
Could we deal with what we're dealing with?
Well,
here?
I want to know if it's included in here.
This is not.
It is
It
not.
is not.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Mrs. Snee.
I don't think I've been
Thank
present.
you. Any other council members in the audience have a question?
I have a curiosity question. Why didn't we take this all the way out to Washington Township? Why did we just stop at Maryville? I mean, that would include, what, Fox Harbor and...
Well, because this was this was an ODOT project, so it was coordinated with the interchange there, and so they're only going to. It's actually been on the books planned in our long-range plan through MVRPC, Transportation Improvement Plan for 10 years, and this is the second phase. First phase was done quite a number of years ago, and so the parameters were set a long time ago.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else with questions? Okay, seeing none, what is committee recommendation?
Move forward.
Okay. It's unanimous with the committee to move forward with this item as staff is recommending. Any other items to come before the Street Sidewalks Committee?
No, sir.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you.